Have you ever failed at something? I have failed at many things in life, and I'm okay to admit that. It's not a problem. However, it is a problem if you don't learn anything from those failures. As we get into the rest of this video, I want to let you guys know that this video is proudly sponsored by my good friends over at CyberEIT. If you guys are looking for free online video training, I highly recommend CyberEIT. You can also join their premium membership and get access to their premium virtual labs as well as their practice exams as well. Make sure you use the coupon code ITCQ50. It'll save you 50% off that premium membership. Yo, what's going on, everyone? My name is Zach Hill, and this is IT Career Questions. If you guys don't know, back in March, I failed my Security Plus, and I was happy about that. I was glad that I actually got to go through a certification exam process, see what it was like. Now, I wasn't prepared, obviously, because I failed, but I saw what I needed to do. The failure in my process was me not putting enough effort into it. And I saw that. I knew that. I knew that this failure was my fault. I owned up to it. And that's sometimes what you have to do in life. You own up to your failures. You say, yeah, I didn't do that right. I did that completely wrong and I broke it, right? Like you have to be able to admit that. But there's an upside to this. That failure is always going to stick with you. That failure will haunt you at times. But you have to overcome that. You have to look past the fact that you didn't know something or you did something wrong, because you have to take this opportunity to learn from it. So anytime you run across a situation that is in similarity to your failure, you know by now what to do to fix that. You know how to get past that. You have to learn to overcome. Sometimes you don't know things, and that's okay. Sometimes you don't know things and you make a mistake, which isn't necessarily okay, but you have to use that to learn what it was you didn't know. Now, there are many times in my career where I didn't know something. I was just confused. I had to Google something. Ultimately, I had to reach out to coworkers and say, hey, I don't know how to do this, guys. Can you help and walk me through it? And ultimately, you still might experience failure in your work setting. And that's all right too. I have boot looped a switch and I went home for the day and the entire network was down. And I had no idea. Now, to be fair, the cables were an absolute mess in this lab. I should have followed it. I should have traced this cable, but it looked like, hey, this cable's unplugged. This is going to something else. Let me plug it back into the switch. Well, it turns out that cable was just going right back into the switch. So it was in one port, and wherever that long cable went, came back and plugged into the switch again. Created a boot loop, took down the whole network, and I owned up to that failure. I knew from that point on, I had to follow and trace every single cable before I plugged it in, just to verify that I was not going to create a boot loop. So anytime you run across a failure, make sure that you use that opportunity to learn from it. Take the time to understand what went wrong and learn from those failures. Now let's switch this up a little bit and talk about ways that you can break fix things. Meaning, how can you take something, break it, and learn from it? This is great troubleshooting tips for those of you who are looking to get into IT and who are looking to really increase their troubleshooting skills. Now you guys can take old equipment, and I'm not saying by any means that you need to go out, set your equipment on fire, and try to fix it from there. That's not what we mean. One great way that you can learn to break something and then fix it is through virtualization. And if you guys aren't sure about that, you could take this laptop or any laptop or desktop computer for that matter and install a program called VirtualBox on there. From VirtualBox, you can then virtualize some different operating systems. So from one laptop, you could be running 4 or 5 different versions of other operating systems, which is really important because those operating systems can then be manipulated in any way that you'd like. You can break things on them and you can roll back to a previous version, and it's not going to affect your computer. It's not going to affect this laptop at all because those virtual environments are essentially in their own container, in their own little box, and it won't let you break anything on the actual laptop or computer that you're using. So download something like VirtualBox, create a virtual environment with different operating systems like Windows 10, for instance, and try to break things on that and learn how to understand how you can fix them. Now, of course, there's many different ways that you can do this. There's a lot of videos out on YouTube that will teach you this, so make sure you guys go and check those out. And of course, doing real hands-on troubleshooting is a great way to learn how to break things and fix them as well. You guys can pick up network switches on eBay or Craigslist for really cheap nowadays, and you can utilize these to both learn from and as well as troubleshoot any types of issues by creating your own scenarios that you may run into. So you could essentially take this switch and do what I did and create a boot loop and understand how that boot loop process works and why you can't plug the same cable back into the switch. Of course, you guys can get desktop computers or laptops as well. Get inside of them, unplug things, see what happens, see why when you unplug something, this specific thing doesn't work. Learn what a capacitor looks like in its normal state and learn what a blown capacitor looks like. Learn about the different DIMM slots for your RAM or PCI slots for that matter. There's many different things you can do by picking up old, busted equipment and trying to figure out how you can fix that. Whether you guys take a working computer and you break it yourself and then you then try to figure out how to do that, that's a great way to learn by failure. Utilizing any equipment that you have to your disposal and knowing that, hey, you might actually break this and not come back and be able to fix it, because sometimes you could just brick it for no apparent reason, right? So these are just a few ways that you can learn to overcome from failure. I hope this video has helped you guys out somewhat and you walk away feeling better about any time you have failed, or at least know and be prepared what to do if you fail in the future. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, take it easy.